What's up, you guys? Welcome back into iHeartRadio's official wrestling podcast, the Battleground Podcast. And it is a great day for TNA because, I mean, you look at the schedule for 2025. I mean, they are all over the place. Rebellion's going to be in LA, Slammiversary in New York. Of course, tickets for both of these shows are on sale with TNA's big mega on sale event. And joining us on the show today, I got to give him a great entrance because I can't just be like, oh, it's Frankie Kazarian. You got to say the rock icon, the legendary, the man, the myth, the legend. Frankie Kazarian joins the show. Frankie, sir, how are you doing?
I'm well. The rock icon.
Entrance?
I like that one, man. That's high praise. Thank you, brother.
I mean, the thing is I will tell you, we go way back when it comes to this. The last time we hung out with you was at a cigar event in Nashville. And then fast forward to a few months later, we had you in our old radio station where you had just became the first AEW tag team champions with SCU. And it was you and Daniels and Scorpio in our studio. So a lot of things have changed since those past two times that we have hung out with you.
A little bit, yeah. I think was Scott Hamilton also there that morning? I think he was there.
Yeah, he was, because we all ran into each other and it was like this cool thing. So you never know who you're gonna run into.
Right. Yeah. That's God. That's 5 years ago, but it seems like a lifetime ago, really. That's crazy.
Man, it's been a fun ride to watch where you were then to where you are now. And let's just kind of jump right into it. Earlier this year, you declared that 2024 would be your year with just a couple weeks left in 2024. How would you assess your journey so far?
I mean, everything, like a good movie villain, everything is proceeding just as I planned, kind of like the Emperor said. I think I've positioned myself to be right where I need to be. Starting with the kind of my mission statement at the beginning of the year. And I've been able to, kind of do everything I said I was going to do. And, I really, really enjoy the, the creativity, the freedom I have at TNA to be able to, kind of formulate ideas and stories and be listened to and be heard. And it's been, by far the funnest year of my career.
Yeah, and obviously you could tell that you're having a lot of fun in TNA. I mean, everybody was surprised when you made your appearance. Everybody was very surprised when you showed up on NXT. And you look at your career, and I mean, you've been doing this for quite some time. And some guys that have had the longevity of your career have kind of hung the boots up, but it doesn't seem like you're stopping anytime soon. I mean, you're still going with the best of the best. But looking back, what do you consider your most significant achievement, and what goals remain on your professional horizon?
It's hard to pinpoint one particular singular achievement. I mean, there's so many certain moments that really helped springboard me to the next level, whether it be winning my first X Division title. And that really put me on the map in a national way that I hadn't been before. I had some success in various independents around the country, but being anointed as the X Division guy in TNA, that really helped me. And then again, forming the team with Chris Daniels, that really, we really, awakened a lot of people to what we could both do, not only in the ring, but in terms of on the microphone, and the success we had, same with the success of SCU and Scorp and I becoming the first AEW tag team champs. And then there's been marquee matches, like my first time wrestling Kurt Angle for the world title in TNA in 2007, and a big ladder match I had with Christian Cage. Those are all, moments that were important to me because of what they did for my career. And then obviously most recently returning to TNA 2 years ago and, basically saying I left where I was and I'm here because I want to be here and I want to help TNA go to levels that I know it can go to.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you see the levels of where TNA is heading. I mean, again, Rebellion in Los Angeles, you've got Slammiversary in New York. And, the one thing that you've expressed a very strong desire is to capture that TNA World Championship. You stated that the TNA World title has eluded you and you won't stop until you win it. How has this ambition influenced your approach to training and, of course, in-ring strategy? Because everybody seems to want that title, but it seems like Frankie Kazarian wants it even more.
Well, I pride myself being one of the, I'll just say elder statesmen of the locker room, old guys. Uh, you know, that motivates me right there to just be in the best shape I can, physically and in terms of in-ring shape. And quite honestly, I'm in the best shape of my life. So I can go with anybody on our roster, and uh, that motivates me in a whole different way. I'm a 47-year-old man, and I'm in there with guys that are in their early 20s. So I have to be on top of my game more so than anybody else. So I kind of have that edge. And yeah, look at, I want to be TNA World Champion. And when you're World Champion, you are the guy. And if you're the guy, you got to be able to go out there every night against anybody on the roster. And you got to be able to do media, and you got to be able to carry the company. And I welcome that. That's all I've ever wanted. And that's a challenge that I've just basically staring in the face right now, and can't wait to just kind of slay that dragon.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, when people come onto this show, I will tell you that they go on to win championship gold. Everybody from Matt Cardona to PCO. We had Cardona on right before he went after that NWA championship. 2 days later, after he was on, he won. So you're in good graces.
Good luck, Sean. All right.
We're gonna say that Frankie Kazarian will be your next TNA World Heavyweight Champion. And when you win that TNA World Championship, because we're putting it out in the universe, what's the victory cigar that you're going to smoke?
Oh man, I mean, just for it's got to be an American Rebel. That's my cigar. I got to fire up an American Rebel cigar to celebrate that, just because that particular cigar is synonymous with the pro wrestling fans, because that's the brand that Cody and I launched, 5 years ago at this point, over 5 years ago. And one of my favorites. It's a fine cigar, but I mean, look at my humidor. I got, 60 different brands in there. So, but that night I will be sure to fire up an American Rebel cigar.
You know what I think you should do is, when you become the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, you have like a world champion cigar, and then the wrap around it should be the belt.
The belt. Yeah. You know what? That's funny you say that. We've actually discussed that idea in just talking about revamping our logo and our branding and everything. And that idea has been discussed, and that would be a perfect tie-in for me, representing the TNA World title. Yeah.
Well, we're putting it out in the universe. We're going to make sure that happens. Frankie Kazarian, your next TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Now, we talk about the legacy of Frankie Kazarian, and of course, reflecting on your time with SCU. You had mentioned that the breakup was kind of stupid, and as wrestling fans, we were like, "What is happening?" Like, this was a great trio. In hindsight, what would you have done differently, and do you foresee any possibility of reuniting, bringing some of those guys, and maybe doing something in TNA?
Well, I mean, those guys are they're always my brothers and my friends, outside of pro wrestling. Honestly, SCU was never used on the early AEW television to our full potential. And what I mean is, what brought us to the dance, the stuff we were doing on BTE, and the stuff like our microphone stuff, and just us as a unit, that was never featured the way it could have and should have been, in my opinion, in the early days. SCU got really, really hot the last year of Ring of Honor. The last year we were there in Ring of Honor, 2018 in particular. And our faction was right up there with, the elite in terms of popularity and rivaling those guys. But for whatever reason, we were never presented as that version of SCU on television. And I think, hindsight looking back, things might have been a lot different if we were given that, freedom to go out there and be SCU. But that just didn't happen, and it is what it is. In terms of getting together, I mean, those guys, I would love that. Those guys are my brothers. Logistically, obviously, we work in different companies. It's wrestling, and it's the weirdest thing in the world. So never say never. But right. We're SCU will always forever have three members, man. And it's CD, Sky, and myself. To steal a phrase from my friend Kevin Nash, when you're SCU for life. So and we all still get recognized and acknowledged that. Like, people will still you come up to me and yell SCU in my face, and I love it, man. It's that's a part of me forever.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And I know as a wrestling fan myself, I have a collection of wrestling belts and action figures and Funko Pops and all this other stuff. And I've got a 7-year-old who is getting into wrestling, so we watch it every week. And I do have an autographed Frankie Kazarian AEW figure that's inscribed first AEW champ.
Awesome.
It was almost an open box because my 7-year-old decided that he wanted to try to play with that, and I was like, "You cannot touch that one or the other ones.
Well,
Leave it
we'll
alone."
set you up. We'll set you up to get you another one, man. I know a guy.
I think, yeah, you might know a guy that could probably get one if case my 7-year-old decides to open it. But of course, the big on sale is going on with TNA. I mean, everywhere next year. They're going to be again, Rebellion in LA, Slammiversary in New York. Tickets on sale, big mega on sale event, and definitely grab those tickets. Now, you look at how things have changed over the year. As a kid, I grew up watching wrestling. I was there at TNA every Wednesday night at the fairgrounds. I mean, I practically lived there. With the wrestling industry continually evolving, what do you think is best for, like, right now? You look at everything. How do you adapt your in-ring style and persona to stay relevant and competitive in today's landscape?
It's interesting. I was talking to Lance Storm about this the other day. Like, just talking about longevity, which I pride myself on because, like I say, anybody can get hot for a 3 to 5 years period, but for someone to stay relevant for a long period of time, that impresses me. Like I don't, maybe consciously or subconsciously or unconsciously, I never really did anything when I was a 27-year-old man that I still can't do as a 47-year-old man. Whether that was you know, I was kind of grouped with a lot of the X Division guys that were doing incredible stuff, guys like Amazing Red and Low Key and Elix Skipper. And I certainly wasn't doing the stuff they were doing. I was just kind of doing my stuff. But I got kind of grouped in with those guys, which I don't mind at all because all those guys are tremendous talents. But, I think what's helped me a lot is my style. I'm still, there's nothing like, oh man, he used to be able to do this. No, I still do everything I was always doing. So that has certainly helped me. But in terms of adapting, there is a different style than there was, 25 years ago for sure. And I roll with the punches. You can call the X Division style. That was at the time a new style. And now that's, the X Division has been around for, over 2 decades. So that's also evolved into what the guys are doing now. And like I said, I like to, pride myself on being a guy that could go in there and wrestle somebody like a PCO, or like a Nick Nemeth and have a pure technical match, or Josh Alexander, but also have just as entertaining of a match with a Leon Slater, who's, the future of the X Division.
Absolutely. And you look at the TNA roster, and it's stacked from both the men's roster and the women's roster. As somebody who has been in plenty of locker rooms before, what do you think makes this TNA locker room what it is now?
I mean, just the work ethic and everybody's striving for that common goal of, and that goal being the success of TNA. Yes, we're all looking to achieve individual success and individual goals and accomplishments, but we all want what's best for the company legitimately. And, tremendously talented locker room full of knockouts, tremendously talented locker room full of tag teams and X Division guys and heavyweight wrestlers. But we all truly do want what's best for the company. And more importantly than the in-ring stuff, just a great group of people, just a lot of very hardworking human beings, a lot of people that are just very, very dedicated to the same cause. And that, I think, our locker room is our biggest strength. I've said that since I came back, and that rings true now more than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can definitely see, watching the product on TV, and then of course having some of the locker room and the roster on this show, you can legitimately see that it's not me when it comes to everybody there. It's we. and everybody else.
Yeah, I'm the only selfish one there. So,
well, I mean, you're allowed to be. I would say when you
get a
think
pass,
of
yeah.
when you
I always
think
say,
of
yeah, there's no egos in our locker room other than mine. So,
because I mean, when you think about TNA, I know a lot of people like to say, "Who's the flag bearer of TNA?" and everybody likes to say Eddie Edwards or Sammy Callahan. But can we be honest here for a second? The real flag bearer, the real face of TNA, it's got to be Frankie Kazarian, right?
I appreciate that. Well, I mean, I predate anybody in the company. That's one thing. I've been, I was there before anyone else. But then you also got someone like Eric Young, who's, he and I are the last of the OGs. And the guy that you mentioned, Eddie Edwards, he's kind of the guy that really held it down, in that period, like after all of us, AJ, Joe, CD, myself, all of us left, and he's been the constant, man. And he's, that dude does not get half the credit he deserves for being the incredible in-ring guy that he is.
Yeah, I mean, Eddie has put in his time, and I will say, like you said, he's been there after you guys left. And when I think of TNA, the OG TNA, like you said, those names that you mentioned, when you think of the Impact TNA, it's Eddie Edwards is right up there with the flag bearer. Now, I know your time is very precious, being the rock icon and the superstar that you are. So real quick, before we let you go, we always have a little fun at the end of these interviews where we go to Chat GPT, because that seems like to be the big topic thing, Chat GPT, drones and AI technology and whatnot. So we let our computer ask Frankie Kazarian a question. And the computer wanted to know if you could form a tag team with any fictional character, cartoon, movie, video game, or musician, who would it be, and what would your team name be?
Oh man, what a question. God, God, I have so many answers for so many different reasons. I mean, I'm a big horror movie fan, so I think me and Michael Myers would be a good tag team, because I could I could stand on the apron, let him do all the work.
You'd be undefeated. You wouldn't have to worry about anything.
Yeah. I mean, God, I would have liked to have been a tag team with Lemmy Kilmeister from Motorhead, but we'd probably spend a lot more time at the bar than we would in the ring. So I don't know how well that would function.
Hey, it worked out for James Storm and Chris Harris. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but this would be much. This wouldn't be playing drunks on camera. I'd probably have to. Yeah. Well, I couldn't keep up with Lemmy. I'm silly to even put myself in the same category as him. God, maybe Clark Griswold from Christmas Vacation. That'd be a good one. Or maybe God. There's so many. That's a real good question. I would have to sit and really, really think about that for a while. I'd love to team up with James Hetfield from Metallica. Oof. I would just I would volunteer to do all the work and to take all the ass beatings just for the honor of getting to sit and converse and pick his brain, because I'm not a guy that really fanboys or marks out for anybody, but that's one dude that I would certainly want to spend some time with to talk. And Sylvester Stallone, there's another one, because I kind of owe my career to Rocky III. That's kind of the gateway that got me into pro wrestling, and Sylvester Stallone and like Arnold and those guys. But those movies have meant so much to me. I would I think the King of TNA and the Italian Stallion will make a hell of a tag team.
That's I mean, that's solid. That's how we're going to end it. So before we let you go, anything you want to say to people watching or listening to this right now?
To all the fans of TNA, the fans of Frankie Kazarian, fans of pro wrestling, your loyalty means the world to me, to us. And if you saw what TNA did this year, I welcome you to roll with us next year, because it's going to be bigger and better and onward and upward. And we're going to shock you and blow you away just like we did this year.